Hi, and welcome to the Sleepy Mums Club podcast. Tonight we have a really special guest. We have Vic from Inner Child Yoga School with us. Hi, Vic. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here. I'm good, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. Vic, I know that you and I have spoken before, and I actually was one to reach out to you a good while ago now because I came across some of your really awesome content about yoga and sleep. But before we dive into any of that, tell us more about what you do and more about your business.
Yeah, so I founded the Inner Child Yoga School basically just out of like a real need to share the benefits of yoga with children. So yoga's really helped me myself, and I was a teacher for many years, and there was never a group of children that I taught where there weren't some who struggled with their mental health, others who struggled with their physical health. And I felt that within the school curriculum, within the school day, I was teaching PE. So as a primary school teacher, I taught pretty much everything. So I was teaching PE, and we taught a lot of invasion games, so like football, rounders, basketball. We did some gymnastics. We would do a fun run, so they were doing running. But quite a lot of the children I taught, they would either be super engaged with it or not at all really engaged with it. And a lot of the sport that we were teaching, I was aware that a lot of children wouldn't carry that on into adult life. So from the physical health, I feel like yoga gives a really good alternative to some of the other sports in schools because it's great for building coordination, strength, balance, flexibility.
Absolutely.
And there's no competition. So people, you're just thinking about yourself. So that's great. But then also the mental health side of it is just so valuable and so needed. So I teach children's yoga in person, workshops, classes, one-to-ones. I also have resources out there to help other parents and teachers share yoga safely in an age-appropriate way. I help schools. And I have some bedtime yoga available on my website, which is how we sort of connected initially. Just
I really
on a
love that
mission,
series.
really, to share the benefits of yoga with children, with everyone, but I think with children because then they can really benefit in a lifelong way.
Absolutely. And I think that's definitely something that I noticed and really felt just from, coming across your stuff when I found that bedtime yoga series. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I really, really like this.
Thank you.
And I think there is such a huge place for it. I mean, even with so many of the families that I deal with, so many of the kids, like you say, there are so many things that address, just their day, their school, they're busy, we do live in just such a frenetic world at the moment, but it helps to actually have that connection piece and that's something that centers them and gives them some of those skills that I feel even, those in my generation are completely lacking. It is that self-awareness, that body awareness. It's the ability to almost go inwards sometimes as opposed to exploding outwards all the time.
Absolutely.
And so
I think I really agree with what you said, that a lot of our generation, I feel like we didn't have this education in it. And so many adults speak to me and say they've discovered yoga as an adult and how life-changing it's been. And which is wonderful that they've discovered yoga, but it's also a little bit shocking that we can get into our adulthood without even knowing how powerful these strategies can be and how actually it's so empowering to be able to regulate your emotions and to be able to make space for yourself, to be able to calm yourself when you are feeling anxious and stressed. Like you said, the world is so busy. We're contacted all the time. We're given information all the time through social media, the news. We're being sold to all of the time as well.
That's so true. And it just feels relentless sometimes.
It does. It really does. The ads everywhere. So actually having those skills to step back, make your own space, connect with yourself, that mind-body connection through the poses of yoga. But also yoga is a lot about, going internally, meditation, breath work. And those skills are so powerful. And it's amazing when I work with children, they are so receptive to it. And actually, they really
Imagine.
quickly, they put those techniques into their everyday lives so quickly. They're really ready to learn it, and to put it into
Absolutely. I
practice,
love that.
which is fantastic. And I do think they don't unlearn it. Once you know
Yeah, that's true.
how to calm yourself, that is really a lifelong skill that you can draw on all the time before, whether it's a job interview in the future or driving tests, or we all have periods of stress and challenge through our lives, and being well equipped
Absolutely.
to manage them is just so important.
Definitely. I mean, if there is one fact of life, it is that there is going to be change and there is going to be stress and there is going to be some level of trauma, even,
Yeah,
be it parent loss, all of these things are facts. It's going to happen. So if from a really, really young age, we're able to give children those skills that will help them move forwards, I think that's really powerful. And I just love what you're doing. So yeah, thanks again for coming on.
thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit, no problem. Tell me a little bit more about the schoolwork that you're doing, because I really like the sound of that.
So yes, so I go into schools in person. That's like one level, but I've created it's a subscription for schools. So it's got
Okay.
lesson plans, printable resources, training for teachers. Um, it has monthly support with me. It's got teachers, printable journals for children, for teachers. So it's a really, I hope, holistic subscription that enables teachers who, they don't have training in yoga, but then teachers are
Sure.
expected to teach everything. I used to teach
Yeah,
French, and I don't
literally.
even speak French. So it gives them everything they need to share child safe poses. So
Okay.
I've been really selective with what I've chosen, but also to
Yeah.
get the maximum benefits. It's got scripts to help them deliver sessions if they want to use them, meditations and things. And it's kind of a culmination of, I spent 6 years working in classrooms, then I did my yoga training, then I did specialist children's training, then I did further specialist training into age groups. So I've
Yeah.
created quite a wealth of knowledge, and
I can
I
imagine.
can't, I can only teach so many children face to face. So
Sure.
the best way to make yoga accessible to all children, or the vast majority of children, is to have it in schools. That
Yeah.
way, they're all being exposed to it. And at least I feel then they can try it. And if they like it, they can pursue it themselves. But they've
Yeah.
had that opportunity to try it and see how it feels. So that's kind of why I created the subscription. And it's, some schools are so quick to snap it up, and others,
I'm
need
sure.
a bit more help to see how beneficial it is. But yoga fits really
Yeah.
well with a lot of the national curriculum. It really does tick a lot of the national curriculum objectives. And also, schools are really being encouraged to broaden their PE offering. So yoga is a super way to do that.
Okay.
And also to encourage the least active children to get more active. And again, yoga really is a different form of exercise to what is often offered in schools. And it does appeal to children who are less competitive, or
Yeah.
who don't like to be watched, because in yoga you can do it on your own and everybody's focusing on themselves, and it's not judged in any way. You don't get a grade. So that's, those things actually make yoga, I don't want to say unique, but certainly more unique.
Yeah.
Different. It makes it different from a lot of what else is going on in schools, and therefore really valuable. And the mental health,
Definitely.
there's a lot of research that shows how beneficial yoga is, and therefore it's a great way for schools who are so time short to be actually hitting multiple things. They're really offering something that is valuable for mental health at the same time as ticking off some PE objectives. So
Yeah.
that, it's a great way for them to kill a few birds with the same stone, or that phrase.
For sure. And so what ages does that apply to, your subscription?
So the school subscription, I have lesson plans and things for year 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. And
Okay.
then there's a ready to run yoga club, which is like an after school club. So for
Oh,
PE,
lovely.
the children have to be really physically active for the majority of the session. So like all the children are being active. But yoga is actually more than just the poses. So in my after school club, it's more balanced. We have journaling activities each week as well, and more a longer period of relaxation and breath work. So that's included in the subscription so that a teacher can run an after school club. And that is sort of designed for year 1 up to year 6. So there's different
Okay.
activities that they can swap in and out a little bit depending on the exact age of the group. And kind of teachers, they know the group in front of them. That's what they do. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can, it's quite straightforward for them to swap in and make sure it's right for the group. So there's
Yeah.
like different options of your script for your relaxation depending on the age group there. So yeah, it's mostly geared at primary. The resource bank
Okay.
that is included with the school subscription, but you can also get separately, has more preschool things in as well. So it's got quite a few preschool resources and a printable calm corner so that you can set one up at
Oh,
home or at
lovely.
school. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. So, how would teachers get the subscription, or schools? How would they
So
get it, and
the best
what's the
thing
best
to
way?
do, I have a free information pack for schools. So I can email that over to anyone and they can download it on my website on innerchildyogaschool.com. So you can download it and
Okay.
then you can sign up on the website or I can send an invoice. Schools work a bit differently sometimes.
Right.
With how they like to do that. So sometimes you can book a free call with me, a 15-minute chat, and I can speak to, whether that's a teacher or a member of the leadership team and just explain exactly what's there, to get the ball rolling. But yeah, all the information's on my website and the free pack includes a couple of free lesson plans that people can give a go if they want to as well to get an idea of how it works.
Oh, that's really fab. That's really, really exciting. And I think that's, genuinely very valuable. I know that as a child, I mean, I moved back to Wales when I was about 8 from the Middle East, and suddenly going to PE classes and being made to run cross country and all of these things that I hadn't done before, hurdles and things. I mean, I'd never had to do that. I didn't
Hurdles.
have a clue what I was doing. I was so embarrassed about all of these things.
Yeah,
And
and it
I think
puts
I would have
people off the life.
genuinely, yeah,
It really
I was
puts people off.
terrified. I think I would have really benefited from something like this. And I know that they actually do, I mean, maybe not all that regularly, but occasionally they do a few yoga sessions at my son's nursery. And he definitely has learned so much. When I feel him getting, and he does, he's quite a sensitive soul, and he builds up and he builds up, I suppose like most toddlers do. And then he just explodes and it's just emotion and it's just this one big ball of tears. And we often
Yeah,
work with a few exercises in terms of breathing. So I practice either blowing the feather away, take a deep
yeah,
breath and let's see how far we can blow the feather, or practice with maybe a balloon. Let's pretend you're blowing up a balloon. Let's try that. And those are just things that I've kind of made up from my own experiences of yoga and breath work and things like that. So I think it's really, really powerful that, you know, there are genuine techniques, that you can be learning and resources to be reaching out to, because I think it's really, really helpful because they need to process these emotions. And it's really hard as parents sometimes to not take it personally and want to get cross with them, especially at the end of the day. And you're also really tired, and suddenly they're
yes.
all really tired and they're exploding at the same time. You're wanting to explode, and having a toolbox or something to be able to reach into and just maybe both take a big deep
Mm.
breath and just go, okay,
Yeah, I talk a lot
it's
about
okay.
how us modeling how as parents or teachers, if we model these techniques, it is more powerful for the children because they can really see it working for us. But I also love that you shared like the blowing the feather or blowing up a balloon, because I think sometimes people are nervous that they're going to like share it wrong. Like you said, like, almost like, is it a real
Yeah.
technique or is it just one? But actually, if you share what works for you, that's super powerful. Like sharing what works for you in a way that works for you is so valuable. And I definitely think, we can't do it wrong. But as a general rule, like just because it's helpful to know, a long exhale is really
Yeah.
soothing to the nervous system. So
Okay.
whenever we're feeling sort of fizzy, worked up, overwhelmed, trying to really lengthen that exhale is really powerful. And a lot of the breathing techniques we use in yoga, we utilize that. And in children's yoga, you know, I'm got lots of different animal breaths and different types
Oh,
of breathing
brilliant.
techniques that we use. But the premise generally is if we want to energize, then we are having a longer inhale and a short, sharp exhale.
Okay.
And when we want to calm, we're doing a much longer exhale. So that
Okay.
can be, yeah, a good little tip. So definitely towards that end of the day when I agree in my household as well, my boys are 4 and 2. So sometimes, you know, everyone's
Yeah.
quite tired, like you said, by
Yep.
bedtime. And sometimes my older son wants, you know, the attention whilst I'm trying to settle my youngest.
Yeah.
And definitely, I know that that can be a pinch point for me personally, like on my
Mm.
own reflection. So I'm always really conscious to take a few breaths. So they're happy in the bath, but that get them out of the bath and into the pajamas stage can be a challenge for us
Yes.
sometimes. So I always make sure that I do a few grounding breaths before I tackle that bit of the routine so that I'm in the right
Yeah.
headspace. And I think, yeah, definitely those long exhales are valuable at that time of the day.
Definitely. I have to do the same. I mean, even last night, I think a lot of people might have seen the video I shared of my daughter in the cot who had decided to just get completely naked. And she was just bouncing around like, a little kangaroo. And I was just like, okay, I have a work call in 10 minutes and I really need you to be asleep. I
They
was like,
know,
this
they
is
always
not
know if you've
ideal.
got to do something,
Always, always. And I genuinely just walked out the room and I was like, okay, just breathe.
don't they?
It's okay. It is okay.
It's so
Just
powerful.
walked
If you
back
think
in
of
and
a lot of our other like automatic bodily functions, we can't control them. Like you can't control if you digest your dinner or other things, but
so
we can
true.
control the breath, and that's what makes it so powerful. And it, you know, if you stepped on a pin or a bit of Lego, you know, that your
Regularly.
first reaction is that like that sharp
Yeah.
inhale. So actually when we consciously control the breath, it is so powerful to really, yeah, calming or invigorating our nervous systems, and yeah, super powerful.
Yeah, I really, really like that, especially the invigorating piece as well. I hadn't really thought about how the breath would work for that, but that obviously would. It makes complete sense.
Yeah, I think one of the children in my classes, their favorite breath is often the wood chopper breath, where we raise our hand up
Ah,
with the inhale and we let it out with a
yeah.
and chop our hand down.
Ah,
And that's really
I
energizing.
think my son would love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and it's really energizing, you know, at the start of the day. Sometimes some of the schools I go into, they do it in the morning, or sometimes in that like after lunch lull,
Yeah.
when if they've
Yeah,
got
I
to get
definitely have one of
got to
those.
get some work done, then they do it as a whole class, and the children really say how much it helps them. And then on the flip side, they'll often do a humming bee breath before like a spelling test or something to help them really calm in.
Okay.
So it's a kind of slow inhale through the nose, and then you let it go with a hum, like a hmm, for as long as is comfortable, to hold it. So we don't want to force it, but as long as we can comfortably do it. And that humming is quite soothing to the vagus nerve. So it really helps to put the body into that sort of rest and digest mode rather than fight or flight.
Yeah, that makes complete sense actually, because with really young babies, newborns and that type of thing, it can be really, really helpful for parents to actually do that. But
Mm.
on the exhale, for that noise to be as low as possible, that hum, because that sound can really calm the baby if they're really worked up and the parents are getting, a bit anxious
Mm.
themselves, or if you've got a colicky baby and there are lots of tears and it's really hard to actually just help them to settle and to co-regulate at that stage, then that same sort of breath
Mm.
and the humming, because again, the vibrations, if you're holding the baby up against you, those vibrations of the exhale with the hum can be really, really helpful.
That's so
So
interesting how that, yeah, I can imagine. It's amazing how that bond
it
is,
is
isn't
actually,
it?
the more you think about it
Yeah.
and just how it goes through, and you think that yeah, yoga for adults, yoga for this, and but actually the breath work and the yoga pieces just make sense from, all the way
Mm,
through.
yes, definitely. Yeah. It really is a lifelong practice. And,
Yeah.
so much of yoga is about the breath. So anyone who can breathe can enjoy it. And that is
Yes,
so powerful because
it's
there's
true.
not many things you can say where actually they're that level of inclusive, and that you can do
Yeah.
really throughout your whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. So let's move on to your bedtime yoga series because I'm really passionate about that one. That's obviously the one that I came across, and it's what triggered sort of conversations and where we are today. So yeah, tell us more about that series.
So like I said previously, my boys are young, quite young, and I think for most parents, bedtime it's a big deal, and
Oh yeah.
having a calm bedtime is really important. And yoga is really relaxing. It can really calm the body, and it is a great way to switch off at the end of the day, to remove yourself from, like we said, all that busyness that's going on all the time, all that information. And so I really wanted to create sort of it's a mini series. It's 4 classes, 4 yoga sessions that are designed for children to do from age sort of 3 up in their pajamas right before bed. And I share a few simple poses and techniques that can help move us into that rest and digest mode and calm the senses so that children, are ready for bed. So we start with, like, making sure they've brushed their teeth, they're in their pajamas. And I think 3 out of the 4 classes kind of end with them in bed doing a bit of a relaxation before hopefully drifting into sleep. And really taking that time to be in the rest or digest mode helps children to sleep more deeply, and more peacefully, hopefully drift off more
Yeah.
easily. So that was kind of the inspiration. So I filmed it all in a beautiful yoga dome, in my pajamas, of course. And it is, yeah, I chose the poses really carefully, so that they are obviously they're child safe, and so that they are ones that help us to ground, help to calm the body. And the idea, as I said, it's four classes, but the idea is for children to learn some techniques that they can then continue to use. So you can obviously watch the
Sure.
classes as many times as you want, they're freely available. But my hope was that as you learn a few of the techniques, then the children can do it completely screen free, because obviously watching me on the screen
Yeah.
isn't 100% ideal for bedtime, but that's how I can share it. That's how I can
Yeah.
communicate it. But quite a few of the children I work with have incorporated yoga into their daily bedtime routine, and I think it's such a beautiful practice. A lot of adults do, and it's such a great habit to start, because actually
Absolutely.
insomnia, through children, through childhood, through the teenage years, and for adults, is a real challenge, and it's really debilitating. I don't think it gets nearly enough kind of press of how, if you can't sleep, it's such a challenge. In the same way that as mums we talk about how hard it is when we're exhausted with someone
Yeah.
else waking us up, but also quite a lot of mums struggle with insomnia that they can't go back to sleep. I struggled sometimes when I'd been woken up a lot in the night to then drift back off, and I used to do sort of breathing techniques to help me. And empowering children with those it's such a gift, so that if they can't sleep, they've got something they can do rather than just feel
Definitely.
frustrated about it. And yeah, yoga is just a super addition to a bedtime routine. And sometimes the day for so many of us is busy. So a lot of children,
Absolutely.
if parents are working or not working even, but it's sort of get home from school, it's a rush if they're coming home from school or nursery, have their dinner, get ready for bed. It's a lot. So
Yeah.
actually just having that 5 to 10 minutes, it doesn't need to be, an hour's practice, it can be a 5 to 10 minute little routine of that mind body connection, calming down, noticing the breath. It just gets us into the right frame for sleep. So that was kind of the idea behind the series, and I am really proud of it, and I've had lots of lovely feedback on it, which is obviously, so lovely for me to hear, because I do put a lot into my programs, and my little series so I'm hoping to produce some more sleep videos.
Oh,
So for
fab.
people who've enjoyed the 4, there will be some more coming, hopefully quite soon. I've got some new
Oh, that's
pajamas
really
to film in.
exciting. Yay.
But
That's always
you know,
exciting.
it's really available because I just think it's, you know, improved sleep is one of the big big benefits of yoga. So that's a bit about the series. But if you haven't tried it, go and check it out because it is on my website, freely available. You just pop in your email and you get a video each day, and then you've got the links so you can rewatch them as often as you want.
Yeah, no, they genuinely are really, really great. I really, really enjoyed them. And for so many of the parents and the families that I work with children of that age, 3 upwards, one of the biggest problems they have is not the regular wake ups that you might get with a newborn or a young baby. It's actually that bedtime battle piece. And it's them not staying in bed. It's the constantly getting out of bed, wanting things, needing attention. It's exhausting for the parents because they're tired at that time of day, but actually more often than not, what the child is asking for is connection.
Mm.
And they're asking for help to unwind because they've also had a really full on day. And nursery and preschool and things, they're taking on board so much and they're holding so much together because they're not necessarily in their safe space, which is at home
Yeah.
with you. So they get home, they let all of those emotions out. And like you say, their evenings and those routines are getting shorter because, parents are busy and life is busy. And so that we're seeing it in their behaviors. And so the parents that are reaching out to me are just like, what do we do? We want to be able to just put them into bed and just, crack on with things. And it's like, yeah, no, that's really great. But actually to do that, you need to add something into that routine
Mm.
so that your child is actually getting what they're needing. And what they're needing is that connection.
Yeah.
And they're needing something to help them unwind at the end of a really busy day. And they're looking to you for that support, which is why when I saw that yoga series of yours, I was like, this is really cool because it is that piece. It is ticking all those boxes. It is adding that connection because parents can do it
Yeah.
with their kids or they can sit and watch it together or, just
And a joint
embody some
practice
of it
before
together.
bed is really nice. It's a beautiful bonding experience. It's also great for you as the parent,
Absolutely.
because you're taking that time to get your mind body connection. All of us are busy. Parenthood is busy and hard.
It's chaos.
So,
It is chaos.
if you can enjoy a
I mean, my
nice
goodness.
5-10 minute activity together at the end of the day, that's really nice. And if you can also, put yourself a little bit less, get rid of some of that overstimulation. I think as adults we're
Absolutely.
overstimulated as well. So it's a beautiful practice for everyone. I love that you found it was kind of a bit of a missing link for some people,
Yeah,
that
definitely.
activity to do, because I think a lot of people have that kind of like, oh, it's like dinner, bath, bed, but it can be quite
Yeah.
rushed, and bath time, we're
Yeah.
not talking about like, an hour's leisurely bubble bath. It's normally like
No.
get in, the water's going everywhere, splashing, spraying,
Yes.
maybe some like bath crayons that their aunt got them that stain everything.
Oh,
So
I
it's
know.
not always.
I mean, it's like they don't stain. It's like they do if they touch any of the
Yeah,
grouting or anything.
exactly.
Have fun scraping that one out.
Yes, exactly that. So
Been there.
having that, yeah, something when you're kind of cozying up it's a really nice addition to the routine. And like you said, I think actually, overall it probably reduces the time. So you've added something in, but it's
Definitely.
reducing the time, because if children are feeling connected and safe when they're tucked in, they've maybe had
Yeah.
their story as well, and then they are kind of in the right space to fall asleep, rather than like you said, where they're overstimulated, they can't sleep. It's really hard. And if
Yeah.
that feeling, whoever you are, however young you are, that feeling of not being able to fall asleep is really frustrating.
Really frustrating. I mean, I suffered insomnia in my teenage years and again, in adulthood and definitely in
Mm,
motherhood. In those early months, even when Fraser did start sleeping longer, I certainly wasn't. And again, like you said, with those wake ups, once I was awake, that was it. There was no chance I was going back to sleep.
yeah.
So, all of these sorts of things are really, really helpful in calming our own minds. And when it comes to people always get a bit nervous when they think about adding more things into their routine or thinking of having to do more.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
I've got enough on my plate. What are you on about? Wanting me to, suddenly now do yoga? What are you,
yeah,
what is
yeah.
this? It's like we're not actually asking you. It's not about, the quantity of the time we're asking you to do. It's actually just about that quality.
Yes,
If you've got a 15-minute real solid activity that's giving you that connection and calming you both down, it's changing from a 45-minute battle that you are used to a 15-minute
actually
connection
pleasant as
and
well.
then a
Yeah,
peaceful bedtime.
enjoyable time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you just,
It
yeah,
is a beautiful time, that before bed, if you can get it right.
yeah, it's
And
lovely.
yeah, it can be really special, but it can also just be, like we've said, really, really wearing if it's not going
Yeah,
well. So it's definitely worth trying to invest in. And, unfortunately, there is no silver bullet, but I do really think, yoga is such a great addition to, like, definitely give a try, try the
yeah,
4 days, that I've got freely available, or try, you can look for some books and ideas yourself if that suits you. But it's really worth giving it a go, because it's a lot more powerful than you would expect, and a lot more enjoyable than a
yeah.
lot of people expect as well. And a lot of the children that I work with who are slightly older, in school age, they love actually teaching their parents yoga before bed, and what
I'm
they learn with
sure.
me,
I'm
they then
sure.
pass on, and they feel great. It's a bit of kudos. They're being the teacher. They've planned a
Yeah,
little flow, and that's really lovely as well, because that's
that's really cute. I love
it's
that.
giving them a lot of ownership, and it's so empowering, and it feels great for them to share something with you that can help you too, and that is helping them, and it really helps to give it that, really show its value.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely. And I think that probably leads on quite nicely into our masterclass that we have been talking about.
Yes.
So do you want to say a few words about it?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this offering, because it's
Me
something
too.
that I think, like, separately as professionals, it's something we deal with a lot, is helping people with bedtime.
Yeah,
And so to collaborate on a masterclass is going to be really exciting. So it's going to be a masterclass that you can join in live, or watch a replay of, about mindful bedtimes for preschoolers. So we're really thinking about how we can make bedtime an enjoyable and mindful time, and how it can be a happy time for everybody, and how we can sort of put routines in place, obviously using your knowledge, Keri, about that kind of routines and
absolutely.
timings, and all the things that you know so well that can make a
Yeah,
successful bedtime. And I'm going to be sharing some yoga poses and some breathing techniques that you can introduce into that routine quite easily, which I hope can really transform bedtime. So we're going to be gearing it sort of at the preschool ages, although, like, equally, I think early school years will still really benefit from it.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's
Me
going to be
too.
super.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll definitely benefit so many of the families that I chat to, and just even so many of my friends and
Yeah.
family and things like that as well. It is the age old bedtime battle scenario, and learning how to change that, and just simple things from overall routine, like you say, bedtime timings and what overtiredness can do, and why overtiredness happens, other than the obvious,
Yeah.
what's actually going on in the body at that time, and then why it's so hard for overtired children to unwind in terms of the effects of cortisol and all of those hormones in the body, which act very much like adrenaline, and that actually creates more of that fight and flight response, which is why you see at the end of the day your child is getting wilder and wilder, it seems, or bigger and bigger emotions. They actually can't necessarily control
Mm.
that, because so much of that is actually biological. So it's about how you can support them at that time to help them unwind, to just change the narrative as to bedtime. And that also comes down to parental mental health as well, and how you change your mindset and approach bedtime. because if parents always go into bedtime going, oh God, not again, it's going to be another battle, and can't be bothered and all of that, like your child feeds off some of that energy too. So being able to be given, some wonderful practices from yoga and everything to just change it and make it fun and have a laugh and more joyful again. At the end of the day, it is about bringing that joy back to bedtime. And that's why I'm just really, really excited about the masterclass. I think we're going to have lots and lots of fun and share lots of really valuable information.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to really aim to share lots of practical tips that you can really implement right away and give a go. So it's going to be, I think, really valuable. So it's going to be on the 20th of July. So get your diaries out at 8 p.m. And it's going to be bookable on my website as well, on innerchildyogaschool.com, I think. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll book it on there. So you'll be able to go on there, book your spot, and yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing you there and sharing lots of.
We'll be able to add a link actually underneath the podcast description. We'll be able to add the link in there and push it out on socials and obviously on websites and things. So we'll be chatting about it a lot in the lead up to it. So we're giving you plenty of time and lots of notice because I know that life gets very busy.
Yeah.
Come and join us. You'll have lots and lots
if
of fun.
you have a specific question, do send that over to us in advance and we can make sure we include it. Obviously, we're going to have a chance for Q&A live, but if you do know already a question you'd like to ask, do get it over for us because I'm sure there'll be other people thinking it, and then we can just make sure that we've incorporated it for you.
Yeah, definitely. I hear that a lot when I'm doing any of like live classes and stuff. It's, I always say, ask the question because chances are there's 10 more people going, I really wish that I could ask that question, but I don't know if I should. So lots of people will be going, thank you for asking.
Definitely.
So,
yeah. We all,
yeah,
I think
don't
so
hesitate.
many of us are facing such similar battles actually. So it's,
absolutely.
we do have often the same challenges.
That is true. Well, I think we can wrap that up for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Vic. It has been so great. I've really, really enjoyed it. And for those of you listening who have found Vic as insightful and wonderful as I have today, then do head over to Inner Child Yoga and find out, more about all those wonderful resources, especially if you're a teacher or a school. And don't hesitate to join us on the masterclass on the 20th of July. We're really looking forward to seeing you there.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to chat.
No problem. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.